The room was dead silent. Only the soft tapping of a pen on the table remained. My daughter-in-law lifted an eyebrow. Each word clipped. "Sign it. You have no rights left." I smiled softly. Not the smile of someone defeated, but the smile of someone who already knows they will win. I placed another file on the table. Each page flashed under the lamp. Do you, too, think you're about to take everything? The truth is, everything has been in my hands for a long time. My name is Merlin, and I am 70, at an age when people should be able to sit quietly on the porch, drink tea, and watch the sunset paint the red roof tiles. I sat in my own house feeling out of place. This house had once been my husband's and my dream. It was where we scraped together every coin to pay off our debts. Now it felt like a battlefield where I had been cast aside. The day I moved in with my son and daughter-in-law, I thought I would find a home full of laughter. But soon I realized my place in their eyes had been distorted. At a party, my daughter-in-law introduced me to guests with a saccharine smile. "This is our family's longtime helper." I heard each word like a draft through a crack. I stood in the living room, yet felt like an invisible shadow. My daughter-in-law often mocked the vegetable garden I tended. She said my vegetables were ugly, nobody would eat them. And one day she casually dug them up and tiled the yard instead. The old wooden table I'd brought from my previous home, the one still marked by my husband's handprints on each plank, was thrown away under the pretext that it took up space. I swallowed back words I wanted to say, offering only a thin smile, hiding the ache in my chest. Even the utility bills, though I had paid off this house many years ago, they still insisted I contribute every dong. Once my son looked me straight in the eye and said, "You must live responsibly too. Don't think living here is free." Those words cut deeper than any illness. When I fell ill and lay bedridden for weeks, I expected my son to ask after me, or my daughter-in-law to bring me a warm bowl of soup. Instead, they passed by my room as if I did not exist. Those indifferent glances taught me that in their eyes I had become a burden. I remained silent. People often mistake silence for weakness, but I was different. I knew this patience was not to bow my head, but to prepare for the day I would rise. Signing day. The room shone under bright lights, but to me it felt as cold as a courtroom. A thick stack of papers lay on the table. The scent of fresh ink was sharp. My son sat across from me, his face stern as if negotiating with a stranger. My daughter-in-law straightened her dress, red lips pressed into an arrogant smile. When the broker pushed a pen toward me, my daughter-in-law suddenly snatched the papers, slammed them on the table, and glared at me. "You should know your place. You're just a tenant in this house." The giggles from a few onlookers made my ears ring. I took a step back to steady myself, but her hand shoved into my shoulder. I fell onto the cold tile floor. In an instant I saw every eye turn to me. Not a single hand reached out to help. My son stayed seated. His voice rang out, low and hard, without the slightest emotion. "You're too old to understand real estate. Stop making things difficult for us. Silence is best." I looked at that boy, the son I had cradled through fevers, the one I had skipped meals to save money for his schooling. Now his gaze was dry, bearing no trace of the child he once was. I knew that one day my silence would be the sharpest blade. I returned home after a long hospital stay. My body was still weak, but my mind was clearer than ever. As soon as I stepped in, I froze. My room, where I always slept, where I kept the last keepsakes of my husband, had a stranger lying on the bed. Their luggage was piled in the corner. My daughter-in-law stood in the doorway and said casually, "We've rented this room out. You can go live in the basement." The basement. Damp, cold. The yellowish light cast shadows on the stained walls. I wrapped myself in a blanket and went down, sitting on the creaking iron bed, listening to their laughter echo from upstairs. I understood that in their eyes I had no value left beyond the weight of my breath. Then one evening they brought a fresh stack of papers and pressured me to sign away full control of the property. My son said, "Sign, Mom. Everything will be tidy and less troublesome for everyone." I looked at him and stayed silent. I didn't argue or resist. I only gave a faint smile, handed the papers back to them, and did not sign. My daughter-in-law's eyes flashed annoyance, but inside me there was a strange calm, because I had prepared long ago. From the insurance money my husband left, I asked Ruth, a childhood friend, to stand as the named trustee for a secret trust. We quietly bought back shares in a real estate company, step by step, until I became the actual owner of the land worth $51 million that my son and daughter-in-law coveted. I chose silence, not out of surrender. I endured to conceal. I let them think I was weak, so they reveled in their humiliation, unaware that the blade had already been sharpened. In that dark basement, I listened to each drip from the old pipes. The drops fell like a countdown. I knew the moment I would rise and turn the tables was drawing near. Final signing day. The air in the room was thick, as if every breath reeked of greed. My son sat up straight, his suit fitting him like a successful businessman. My daughter-in-law shone, her lips curved in a prematurely triumphant smile. A neat stack of papers lay before me, a pen ready for my signature, the very signature they believed would be the end of my life in this house. My daughter-in-law leaned toward me, her tone smooth but vicious. "Sign. From now on, you have a place in a nursing home that will suit you better than this house." In that moment, I no longer felt pain. I saw clearly their arrogance, and the truth was they had severely underestimated me. I rose slowly, lifted a file from the table. My fingers trembled slightly, not from fear, but from anticipation. I set another dossier on the table, thick and sharp like a blade. Everyone turned to look at me. I spoke, my voice slow but each word resonant. "Perhaps you too have forgotten one thing. The co-owner of this $51 million land is me." Silence fell heavy. My son's eyes widened in disbelief. My daughter-in-law let out a forced laugh, but it choked off quickly as I flipped through the ownership certificates stamped with a glaring red seal. I didn't stop there. I signed another document right in front of them, transferring all the assets to a charity for abandoned elderly women. The room seemed to explode. My daughter-in-law turned pale and shouted, "You're insane. Why give it all away?" I looked straight at her, calm, because I'd rather give a home to people like me than let it become a plaything for those who despise their own blood. At that very moment, I produced a small recorder. My daughter-in-law's voice played back, cold and contemptuous. "Just send her to a nursing home. Why keep this burden?" The room sank into deadly silence. The broker was stunned, contempt turning toward the young couple. The news spread fast. Their reputation collapsed. They not only lost the chance at the house, but were condemned by society. Friends avoided them. Partners turned away. I sat back down, my breath slow. I felt no anger anymore, only a clear, cold calm. They wanted me gone, but in the end, I was the one who exposed them, bringing everything into the light. Just a few months later, the house that once echoed fake laughter fell silent. News of the recording spread everywhere. My son's old friends avoided him. Partners canceled contracts, clients turned away. The large villa no longer had anyone knocking on its door. Debts piled up, business opportunities closed. Then, one afternoon, while I was sitting in the garden, the patch I had rebuilt after so many times of being criticized, they came to me. My daughter-in-law had no makeup, her face gaunt. My son hung his head, eyes shrinking with shame. His voice trembled. "Mother, we have nothing left. Please give us somewhere to lean on." I looked at them. For a moment, I saw the small boy who had once held my hand on his first days at school. But that memory was quickly swallowed by all the years I had been humiliated, shoved aside, treated like a burden. I set the teacup down, my voice low and decisive. "In the past, you once said the nursing home was the right place for me. Perhaps now it will suit you too." The words fell like a cold blade. My daughter-in-law froze, her lips trembling, but no sound came. My son closed his eyes, tears rolled down, yet I no longer felt sorrow. I turned away, stepping into the house, leaving them standing stranded before the gate. My heart was calm, no hatred, no gloating. I understood this was not just revenge. This was how I reclaimed my honor, the very thing they had trampled on for so long. In the quiet room, I sat by the window, the sunset draping over the garden. I whispered, "Silence does not make me weak. It is armor. It is the sword I keep until the very end." And that was the lesson they would carry for the rest of their lives. A lesson about greed, about betrayal, and about a mother they never truly understood. Years later, the garden blossomed again, filled with the scent of jasmine and the sound of sparrows at dawn. I sat on the porch, the teacup warm in my hands, no longer waiting for anyone to return. Life had taken much from me, but it had also given me the strength to rise from the ashes. My silence was never defeat. It was the echo of dignity, the kind that endures long after betrayal has turned to dust.